into Coptic. So Horus became Jesus. So people say, I'm confused. How could they have a Jesus before the historical Jesus? The historical Jesus is a plagiarized Jesus from ancient Egypt called the Gnostic Jesus, that the Gnostics are these Coptic people used to worship. So when the plagiarizers put down the Gnostic text and turned it into the New Testament, or what they call the Bible, they had to get rid of all of the magical papyrus that was in those particular things that they plagiarized, because it would give them away. You see, so as a result, this is the stuff that's in the magical papyruses in what they call ancient Christian magic. Now, what is interesting in here is the Jesus in here, they even got the word Horus, but they also got the word Jesus. So they plagiarized, even that name is not synonymous, or didn't start with the Romans. The Romans took a group of people's religion, plagiarized it, turned it around to a historical person, botched up the job, and then tried to kill off the Gnostics. But ironically, the Gnostics survived, and they still live today. The original Gnostics that came out of Hemmitt, they survived, and now they live in Iran and Iraq. Ain't that a bitch? Why is it that when we go to war, there's also always some type of, there's always something that's got something to do with something metaphysical? And these are the people that's in Iraq right now. Black folks.
Tell somebody.
Been there for thousands of years before the white folks even came, before the white Arab. Black people. So the Gnostics survived in Iran and Iraq. But it's interesting here because this is what happened. There's a god called Abraxas in Persia. And Abraxas is a god, a form of Horus, with a rooster head. He's a chicken. Now, in here is an ancient Egyptian recipe for healing. And you heal with fried chicken. And the fried chicken recipe is called our Lord Jesus Christ. Ain't that a bitch? Now, it's ironically, these people, how would they ever know that we would become that fond of the chicken? Now, on A&E, you know, the History Channel, they have a special called American Eats. And they trace everything in this country that we eat in fast food, or where we eat in restaurants, and the origin where it came from. But ironically, when they got on fried chicken, they had to go back to slavery. And they said it was a slavery invention. And they said especially when we became segregated and Jim Crow, and we couldn't eat in certain places, they had to fry the chicken, because frying it preserved it, and they gave us a fried chicken, a banana, some fruits in a shoebox. And then that damn, all of a sudden the colonel come up with a fucking box. Shit is all from slavery. But the point I'm trying to make here is, now this has happened. Now, the sister back there, Hemmitt, you said that you what did you eat recently?
I had the fried
you was a vegetarian. You was a vegetarian, and you got some hot wing fried chicken. I'm going to show you how this thing works metaphysically, to let you know I ain't stupid. Now, one thing I do know is goddamn spirit. I went in the bathroom the other night sleepwalking. First time I ever did this shit in my life. Sleepwalking. Went in the bathroom and fell and hit my head, my neck, on the fucking tub. Crack! Got up. Because Linda, my queen, saw me. She said, what's up? So I felt a little embarrassed. So I got up and made like I was pissing. And I went back to bed. And nothing never happened to me. Because I was in that other dimension. And that when you're in that, spin that animation in that other dimension, I hit my head. It would have been, I would have really been mentally retarded by now. It hit so hard. It should say boom. And a big nigga got some weight on him too. You know that's when motherfucker fall like that, it's a hard fall. He ain't no light shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
That's like Big Mama falling and shit. Broke a goddamn hip. Now, but, where I was going with this shit anyway. Now, I do know this based on what happened. Now, the brother Rouge, the same thing happened. He was vegetarian for 14 years, and the spirit told him, I think it was Urzuli told him, no one Urzuli was a spirit called Zeta Kuma, which is a form of Kali. And she came through and she told this nigga she wanted him to get some shrimp. And that nigga started eating that shrimp and ate it for 2-3 months. From a vegetarian, you supposed to be sick as a dog.
That's right.
Especially with some damn shellfish. But, now what was the metaphysical aspect about this? For some reason, I'm just giving you the text. This shit says a recipe for fried chicken and a large rooster called Jesus Christ God, which is Horus God. The chicken is Jesus. Well, it brought me more fucking satisfaction than a white man on a goddamn wall in a church. Let's be real about this shit. Now, the point I'm trying to make is some cracker on the wall on the church. This shit has brought me more satisfaction because if you can get your ass some chicken, you might not starve to death.
That's right. And you can get chicken anytime tonight.
You goddamn right. Now, church and all of that. But I'm trying to, my point here is this is what I'm trying to find out now. Normally, I could not stand before you as an intellectual and tell you about chicken. But you know me, I have done enough. I brought all these books. You know I have done over the years, I've done all this intellectual work. So I've earned the right to let you know when some shit ain't no bullshit. And it's in, I brought it to you in a book, Ancient Christian Magic, by Marvin Mayer, M-E-Y-E-R, and Richard Smith. In this particular Coptic thing, and they got this thing on page 273. I'm documenting shit in history. 273. Now, what's going on here about this? This is one aspect of the fried chicken, and I think prophecy. Some shit went down, and why we associate with the chicken, and why the chicken is synonymous to the Christ spirit. That's the first thing I want to deal with. Number two is this. If you sick, and your soul start craving something, and you deny your soul what it's craving, your soul is sending you a signal saying, I can produce enough energy to find out what's wrong with you, provided you give me what I'm craving. But if you deny that, then what happens here is you get sicker and sicker and sicker, because you can do two things. You can cure the symptoms of the physical body with the bullshit the doctors give you and all the so-called health shit of sustaining, or you can cure the cause by dealing directly with the soul. And your soul might say, motherfucker, I want some ice cream. I want some ho-hos, some ding-dongs, some Skittles. See what I'm saying? Some ring-dings. You see what I'm saying? Some Mary Jane candy, some shit. You were like, fucking Mary Jane, that's some shit from when I was a baby. No, your spirit is saying, no, you need to go back when you was a baby. We're talking about a metaphysical realm and an ecological system. Sometimes if you transfer your soul's memory back to a time when you wasn't sick, it might say, I want a motherfucking old English 800. Tell you how the metaphysical thing goes. Because see, you can get into a lot of things. I knew a nigga with the picture health, vegetarian, all this kind of shit here. This motherfucker meditate, do all this shit here, karate master, got in front of his class and had a goddamn heart attack. Because he was not giving the soul what it needed. Now, it might not be no fried chicken, it might not be no shit like that. But what you got to give the soul what it needs, and the only way you can do that is you got to go beyond the adulthood and go back to the childhood. And it's not even childhood, it's called being innocent. Innocence. That's the only way the soul works. Because there's the soul and then there's the ego, which thinks it is a human, and it's not. Your soul is trapped by this person that thinks it's human and thinks it's real, and it's not. So you got to go past that where the soul says, I remember one time you had some Popeyes before you got all sophisticated. Now, whatever that nigga was that was eating that, you got to produce that nigga to give me that shit what I might have had in 1985. See what I'm saying? It's all based on memory. And all based on transferring yourself to another dimension when you wasn't sick. What's that?
You notice that women do that a lot when they're pregnant.
Right.
Could that be happening to the child?
It's all symbiotic type of behavior. It's got a lot to do with just that we don't study certain things, and plus we go by shit mainly by people who just still trying to figure the shit out. Like they say, the white man will dissect the bullfrog. That's right. And take him motherfucking 10, 20, 30 years to learn the bullfrog, where they say the African used to observe the bullfrog and study its actions. They show you that in the basic Kung Fu movie. Don't cut the cat up, study the cat. See what I'm saying? Study the cat. Case in point. I came from a land, a town, where everybody in the town was like, every woman of the town was like their Medea in the Medea family reunion. So when I saw that on TV and I saw him jump on that motherfucker in the bus, I said, no, I got to go see that. That's some spirit shit. I don't care he in the dress. I got to see. I said, because I had a grandmama like that. I had a mama like that. You see what I'm saying? Now, what did he say he did? That motherfucker got $300 million off of plays and shit before he even hit the movies. What did he say? He said that shit is based off my grandmama. And he said he used to do what? He said I used to study her. He studied every inch of her. And as a result, when I saw that shit, I said that motherfucker done resonated into Irene Shaw. Remember what he said? He said, she good people. She said she got some disciplinarian issues. That was my grandmama. My grandmama was a school teacher, and she was a disciplinarian. She used to come, I remember, we had little Hot Wheel tracks. Yeah. Then they got missing. I said, well, Hot Wheel tracks. Irene Shaw, you know, when the cars, she was waiting till we lose them little cars. And she said, wait a minute, that's a good ass whipping shit for my class. So she waited patient until we lost them cars. You know how you get all that shit for Christmas, and then about 2-3 months down the road, it don't mean nothing to you? You want something new? So she collected all them Hot Wheel tracks and took them shit to school and was beating them niggas' ass with them Hot Wheel tracks. See what I'm saying? So I resonate that, but he said he studied his grandmama. As a result, he produced an image of a people that I used to know. So it's the same thing with this here as far as the dissecting something. It's something that's got something to do with your soul, but guess what? It's not sophisticated, it's simple. I remember about 10 years ago, the spirit realm, when I was tapping in, I was getting channels from certain sisters, the spirits used to come through and they say, always look for the simple. It is the most sublime. It ain't gonna be in the sophisticated because you can get lost. Sometimes it's in the simple, and that's the shit you miss. You mistake it as buffoonery sometimes. You mistake it as stupid. That's why the masters always come as idiots. They always come, you see what I'm saying? They always come at court gestures. You see what I'm saying? So my point here is, you gotta override shit. Some of y'all sick because you've been grown too long. And you've been worrying about all these herbs and shit. Well, like I said when I started the lecture, I took some peach soda. I knew what I was doing. I said, this peach soda gonna have every nutrient I need in the motherfucker. And knock shit out. You see what I'm saying? And knock shit out. The great mystery here is the whole mystery to all of this is the Egyptian dog Anubis is the key to all this, which the word Anubis, before it was Anubis, it was Anpu, Anus, anus. You got to clean out. You got to clean out. And senna tea, get you some senna tea. That senna tea, you say, see, it gripes me. No, it gripes you because it ain't getting the surface shit. It's going to the core and getting all that real deal old ass shit from 40 years ago. Senna tea. And clean out. And stuff like that. So that's one of the keys. Y'all all right? Now, I want to say this one other thing, we're going to go to a break. I was talking about the spiritual phenomenon of why they kill these muses. I told you they said there was somebody up in the room. They said he had to go. All you got to go back and look at him and what he was dealing with before the end of his life. He did the movie, he did the album Hear My Dear, and he got a shit in there called Funky Space Incarnation. And he was talking about to this girl saying to her, I knew you from another life. Then this nigga came with an album in 1982, the last album from Motown, and it's got him sitting at the table as God on one end of the table of a chess game and the devil on another end of the chess game, and it's called In Our Own Lifetime, and at the back of the damn album he got spaceships blowing up America. It's called In Our Own Lifetime. That's the only one you can't get on CD or nothing. You got to go to the record shops and get it on album. They always sample it. Mary J. Blige did a couple of cuts off for the song. She sampled. So now, then he came to sexual healing. But the key here is, they kill our muses. And this is one of the most powerful muses and stuff like that. No, one of the most powerful muses and stuff because this man was sensual and he was sexual. And he was sophisticated. And one of his greatest albums, I think his greatest album, no, he had 2 albums with the greatest hits. What's Going On and Let's Get It On was his greatest hits, but his greatest complete album is I Want You. It's the one where the whole album was before the people time. That shit is unbelievable. Now, that's the one with the what's the guy, Ernie Bourne's a picture on where they dancing and stuff. The reason why they kill the muse is this. The muse, the guy named, what's the guy named, the Super Master said that the new religion in the future would not be a religion, it would be a music. It would be a music. Something Akan. Can't think of the guy's name. Ausar-Auset, I can't think of it. It's an Arabic brother. Now, the government has studied this stuff because in Greece and in Rome and in Egypt, they worship what was called the All God. I just showed you the picture of the All God Bess. But if you get a book called From Fetish to God in Ancient Egypt by Ewalis Budge, there's a picture in there of a god that looked like this, but he's standing with he's sitting with a harp in his hand. That's the music god, the muse. In Greece and Rome, he was worshipped as the Messiah. Before Jesus, you got Horus in Egypt, and in Greece and Rome, they worship a god called Orpheus. And Orpheus was supposed to be the Messiah, and the Messiah was always a person that is to come, not a person that's living on the planet. It's a person to come in the future. And they was worshiping a god called Orpheus as the Messiah. The government studied this shit, they said, okay then, maybe the Messiah is coming as a musician, and that's why they've been bumping them off. Then you get the word Orpheus, you also get the word Morpheus, God asleep. You see what I'm saying? 2 aspects of the same entity. You get the Morpheus showed up as what? Larry Fishburne in the Matrix. Well, go back and get the 2001 or 2000 or 2001. I think it was 2000. Go get the 2000 version of Jason and the Argonauts. You can get it, you can rent it, you can even buy it. Jason and the Argonauts went for 2000 Hallmark Entertainment. And on the ship, Jason is supposed to be a ship that's supposed to sail to the ends of the ocean, supposed to take the best people of the land, because the story developed at the Library of Alexandria, the best people of the land was Africa. Put them in a boat, sail to Caucasus, the ends of the earth, to get the golden fleece. The story sounds familiar to you? Take the best Africans and put them in a boat and sail to the ends of the earth. Okay? Which is the west is the end of the earth. Osiris is saying it's called the west. So they take the body of Osiris, sail to the end of the earth, and they got the best. But on the boat was Orpheus. But guess in the 2000 version, why is it in the 2000 version of Jason and the Argonauts, Orpheus was a black man? They don't do nothing. So this whole musician thing, they was thinking that it was supposed to be one of these muses of these musicians. No. It's talking about your soul, which is the Christ, listening to this particular music, or whatever it is, to go to another level. You get where I'm coming from? Now, we're going to go to a break. What I want you to do is this. I want to go through some of this. I have some pictures. I got one here called Quan Yin. She's a god of compassion. She came in November. Remember I told you that these spirits from around the world, they're coming, but they want to dwell with the African Americans. Or the African in the Western Hemisphere. That's from the Caribbean too. The ones who went through slavery and went through the process. And thus you get the energy. Well, she showed up and said, I want to get down. And she was a form of the Christ. She was crucified and everything and rose from the dead, just like Jesus. Story sound familiar? That's Quan Yin. Now, I'll point them out. Now, this particular entity here, now believe me, this shit works. The shit works. People all over the country been getting these shits for $5, taking them back, and the shit been working. This one here is called Hemmitt. He's a monkey god, and he who got him on his side can never be defeated in battle. So if you got some stuff where you want to go to court or some shit you want to be defeated, you need to get this Hemmitt and invoke him. This particular one here is Ganesha. Now, the Indians now, they all caste system. They always show these as white. So I had to get an ancient one in a book. This Ganesha here, it came out of a book. I paid $95 to get one that's stone, that gives you the real power. Whenever you get the Ganesha, he removes obstacles. Marvin showed up. He said, no, get the poster from the billboard and put this caption on it. And it says, Marvin was a tremendously gifted individual. He could compose, produce, and play various instruments and sing with unmatched sincerity. During a career span of almost 25 years, he helped to define the parameters of modern pop music, influencing several generations of musicians and listeners alike with What's Going On album that opened the doors to what is called the so-called concept albums, demonstrating that you can make a social comment and still have great music. Marvin showed us the high, through his inflections of one's voice and song that could be increasingly sensual without being lewd. After a 7-year hiatus, he showed us through his perseverance and faith the dreams that can still be possible. So he had me to put this caption on here. People been getting at it and it's been hooking up. This goddess here is a goddess called Sarasvati. She's playing something like it's a sitar, which is a muse. Anytime you deal with these particular gods with music, it's very powerful. Sarasvati. This one down here is the Temple of Dendera, which is a very powerful temple because it's the temple of Venus, and we're talking about the return of a new Venus. This right here is an Egyptian doorway, and I need to explain this to you. This is an Egyptian doorway. We went to a museum in Atlanta. They had an exhibit called The Splendors of Egypt. It wasn't that much in the exhibit, but it had a doorway there. And they said it's a wall-up doorway. They say, look into the doorway. And wall-up means you're not supposed to go through the doorway physically, but you're supposed to go through it spiritually and astrally. And so we looked in the doorway, and goddamn it, we got home, we started cleaning out. All kind of shit started happening. You know what I'm saying? All kind of transformation. I said, man, that shit was so powerful. I wish I had one. So they told me the temple of Denver would be a doorway, because the priest the priest that the doorway would belong to was the priest of Hathor, and that was the temple of Denver. So about a year later, we was able to get the actual doorway from an old book that's about 75 years old and stuff. So this is very powerful. This is very powerful. This particular picture here, if you can see, is a woman dancing naked with a chicken. This is the form of the goddess Erzuli. Now it's very interesting. I think I might have one or two of the pictures. But I did this picture, and I came back and put this symbol on her, and her spirit actually came into the fucking Xerox machine. And when I got it out, it had an imprint of these spirits on these pictures. They had 3 pictures, then they disappeared. When I walked outside, I said, I do believe, I think I got a visitation from her. And one of the sisters was like, yeah, you did. So this is very powerful. This is Marie Laveau at the age of 30. You see what I'm saying and all. Very powerful talisman. Now, down here is a temple that they just showed to the Western Hemisphere in January. This thing here, they hear this from us. This is a temple with thousands of statues on it. This is in India. They only showed this to the Western Hemisphere. This temple is damn near 2,000 years old, and they just showed this shit in January. So they keep shit hidden from us. That is to make you think that their technology is superior, and to make you think that the white man is synonymous to technology. Down at the bottom here is the temple of Angkor Wat that I've been showing. This is the black and white copy of the temple of Angkor Wat. I'm going to go into this particular stela here because, believe it or not, what I'm going to show you tonight here is they've been talking about Jesus coming back and all this. Historically, we don't have any link with anybody ever showing up that was in the past, showing up in the future, except this particular priest. We're going to go into the history of this. This is why white folks is into this shit all over the planet, because this is the only motherfucker ever showed up that lived in the past in the 26th dynasty and came back. And this person is the form of Osiris. We're going to go into that when we come back. This is the dancing Shiva, very powerful. When he danced, the whole universe comes together. This is a god called Melektos, an ancient god from Samaria that they blame the devil on and stuff like that. But he's a peacock god. This is the form of the Christ. This is the peacock god, Melektos, form of Shiva, form of Christ. This is the divine couple, Lakshmi again, and her husband Vishnu. And you can see your brother, he clutching them boobs. This is the one you saw again with the Mary Magdalene and this brother. Now you know this is a black man laying on his goddamn ass. Now this is the Christ, so we in the right form. You know what I'm saying? Or laying on our motherfucking ass being lazy and shiftless. You see what I'm saying? It's good for the soul. Now, this is the god Horus, the baby horse that I was talking about, Harpocras, who just came back. And I'm going to go into some more deeper details when we come back. The All God, this God here is a representative of all the gods, called the All God. It's very powerful. This is a goddess with an afro called Saint Martha. She's a form of Erzuli that was comprised in New Orleans. And Saint Martha she's a protectionist. So her energy is on the thing. This is the goddess of prosperity. For some of you people, if you're really serious about getting some money or getting some prosperity, this is the one to get. Now don't be confused. See, prosperity sometimes don't come monetary. You be looking for the greenbacks, and it could be a nigga showing up, you know what I'm saying, giving you the hookup, telling you to go somewhere, you see what I'm saying, take her somewhere, and they might give you a goddamn TV or a refrigerator, you know, or any kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? This is the famous black Buddha. I'll show you the pictures of that when we come back. The Buddha that I talked about earlier. black Buddha. This is the Sri Yantra, which you line up the DNA. And these are two forms of Pan. Pan is one of the most ancient forms of God, where you get the word Pantheon, you get the word Pan-African, you get the word Pangea, which is another name for the earth. And it's a very powerful entity, and it's called a scapegoat. It's called a scapegoat. A lot of things with Jesus comes from this particular person. So we're going to go to a break. If y'all interested, you can get some of these, some of these particular pictures and stuff. Remember, some of these things are very powerful, and it can help you along. So we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we're going to start up. We got a lot to cover. And we'll start the lecture after the break. This concept here, man, I can't think of the guy's name. Boy, I should have called home and tell. Well, this is another form of Lakshmi, the golden one. She's also a form of the goddess. Let me see if I can. I guess this is Lakshmi, the golden one, which is also talking about prosperity. We talk a lot about her now because two females is very prominent right now. Two goddesses, Lakshmi and Urzuli. But you can't look at these as the older forms that's worshipped by the East Indians, and this one that was worshipped by the Africans or the Haitians. These particular forms, this Urzuli and the Lakshmi, you got to look at them as new forms. And you also got to look at them as new forms of stuff that's resonating inside of you. Both of these particular entities have a lot to do with the Heart Chakra. And that is the key right now as far as the Heart Chakra, because a lot of things at this particular time is going to open up to you based on your thoughts and based on whether you being pure of heart or even being innocent. So one thing you can't do is you can't judge anymore. You got to get out of the sick stuff that religion taught you to look down on people. You see what I'm saying? So you can't judge black people no matter what condition that they are in. Remember now, these people are coming out of years and years of trauma from slavery. You see what I'm saying? Trauma from post-slavery. And we are the legacy of severe traumatic things that went on. So this means for the religious people, you can't look down on black people as gay in the particular aspect. Now I'm not talking about here, whereas we're going to get on some things and march down the street with some rainbow colored drawers and aspire to deal with the particular, the whole gay culture like that and stuff, because that ain't nothing but just dealing with white people agenda. So like Kwame Ture had said, who used to be Stokely Carmichael, who just made the transition in 1998, both he and John Henry Clark. And he said when they stepped to him in the 1960s, after he wrote the book Black Power, the gay community, which was mostly white, stepped to him and wanted him to spearhead a part of their gay thing, you know. Because remember again now, this civil rights movement and stuff, a lot of this stuff that was helped by white people was to get us to be the foot soldiers, get busted in the head so they can have rights. And remember Tip O'Neill, who used to be the House Speaker, when he retired in the late 70s or the early 80s or the mid 80s or something, and they asked him, well, what was one of the main things in your whole time of being the House Speaker that you could recognize as something, a major phenomenon? He said, I saw every ethnic group and every small interest group rise up and come to fruition under what black people did in the civil rights movement. They used those laws and become up. He said that every group did except black people. Except black people. You know, you got to go to the restroom and do some stuff, but as far as the way gays and the way other interest groups, even the women's lib and all the stuff here gain power, you see what I'm saying, and set themselves up. So that means that we're talking about a process that was also designed for white protests. They just used black people to do it. You understand what I'm saying? So when they say that Martin Luther King was a messiah for them, they was drawing on that energy and stuff because they used a lot of those particular policies later on. But the point I'm trying to make here is this. I'm not talking about the concept of I'm not talking about the concept of you going to gay pride parades and all kind of stuff there with the political level of what the powers be. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about having some person raise your child a certain way and screwing them in the butt. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about here is, we're talking about here is different. We're separating ourselves from the masses. The masses is the God. They don't know shit. And they never did nothing but died. But there's got to be a priesthood in all civilization. They always had a nucleus and a priesthood, and you must consider yourself priest.
Sure.
You say that because the simple fact is you have been privy to information that masses of people don't know. And see, this is why this stuff is so divine. For every last one of you, you know that the majority of the people you meet every day don't have a fucking clue. And it might be fucking 3-4 weeks, maybe a month before you meet somebody with something on their mind. If that long. So that means in actuality, that goes to show you how rare you are. You see what I'm saying? So you got to start looking at yourself as a priest. And another thing here is, before I don't want to get ahead of myself, because I still want to say this about this judgment thing. You can't become subordinate under people no more. I self Lord and Master. Islam, I self Lord and Master. You see what I'm saying? You got to start looking at yourself that way, because I'm going to be honest with you. These spiritual masters out here that you're seeing and you're looking for, there are none. Otherwise, we'd have been out of this shit a long time ago. So I want to know what constitutes these people calling themselves master, and the world is going on every day just as fucked up as it was. You see what I'm saying? When we got in this foolishness. So the point I'm trying to make here is the only master is you. You gain this particular information. There's a thing where even in the Hebrew tradition they say we're trying to educate the Messiah. Well, how could the Messiah be educated? The Messiah is a group of people. There's a book called The Messiah of the Dead Sea Scrolls. And in that book, they got about 4 or 5 different types of messiahs. There's priest messiahs, teacher messiahs, priest messiahs. It's a community of people that they're trying to tell you, not some one man walking around in some goddamn sandals. You are the Messiah, Meshing. One anointed with crocodile's blood. Crocodile's blood is what? The crocodile is called a crocodile of Kim. Kim is what? Black. Melanin. Melanin makes you the Messiah. You see what I'm saying? The other thing makes you the Messiah, the active Messiah, because all our people are Messiah that is dormant. Active Messiah, you got knowledge, so you are the master on that particular part. But then again, on the other hand, you can't judge this. What I say this about the gay thing. I'm not talking about gay America or whatever out here, down low brothers. I'm talking about this. I'm talking about there might be a brother that's serious and his heart is a certain way. He got a certain amount of consciousness. And he dealing with his whatever little thing here, and his little lifestyle is no different than every fucked up lifestyle. But guess what? Down here in this shit here, all this shit is fucked up. 90% of the people that you judging, we got fucked up dispositions and different things that we go through. You see what I'm saying? And our heart ain't right. Most spiritual people, you got spiritual people who heart ain't right. How many people done came through and done gypped the community? You know what I'm saying? You giving them thousands and thousands of dollars, and stuff is going on, and you calling them a damn Messiah. Who gave them the right to be the Messiah in the particular aspect of what you talking about, which is a religious thing? So now when we're talking about the judging, this judging thing ain't got nothing to do with a social thing. It's got something to do with you dealing with your heart and knowing that another person's heart is good and judging them only on that. Not based on their personal life. You know what I'm saying? That don't mean nothing. I mean, all of us, you know, who knows what you might do in your personal life? You know what I'm saying? You might scratch your ass with eyes peeking now. You know what I'm saying? You know? Who knows what you do? You know what I'm saying? Shit, many nights some shit done fell on the floor and I done scooped it up. It was the last piece of shit. Fell on the floor. I wasn't gonna throw it away. What don't kill me gonna make me fat? Well, obviously, something like that. The point I'm trying to make here is, we're not talking about religion. Religion tells you to malign people and vilify people to make your ego, the false you, feel big. You see what I'm saying? We're talking about the spirit you that has nothing to do with this world. So it has nothing to do with behavior and moralism. You heard me talk about this before. The spirit you is dormant and sleeping. And with us, we just waking up. It has nothing to do with the world that we are in. It's trapped in the world that we are in, and it only thinks itself to be something in a character in this world. So when I used to ask, well, this guy gay, the spirit said he thinks he is. He used to say that all the time in the spirit realm. He thought, what do they mean by that? And what it means is ultimately we are souls in another dimension. And what's going on here is only the roles we playing, that's the illusion. So whenever you start judging those roles, you're giving power to the doggone fake matrix illusion of a person. Right. But the spirit person is in a whole other dimension, dormant and sleep. So like I said before, the negative confessions, when they would talk about I did not do this, I have not done this, they were not talking about that they physically didn't do 147 laws. 147? Yeah. You can't physically not do 140. That means you just needed to stand still, but you can't do shit. They were not, the person who was reciting this is reciting this in the underworld, and although he might have had various things he did, you see what I'm saying, in the other life, he might have knocked a bird in the head with a goddamn rock. When he was reciting those negative confessions, he was talking about his soul was dormant and asleep, and his soul didn't do it, although his ego self or his physical self had various forms of activity. Now I can't teach this to the masses of the people. They run out here and shit. The way these niggas is robbing and killing and shit. In Philadelphia, man, Philadelphia, they killing a Negro a day. And then whenever they kill that one black person, they go, whew, thank God, only one died today. I mean, them niggas is gone fool, and it's all on other black people. So I'm not talking about that. When we talk about the priest thing, so we got to separate ourselves from our own personalities and our own self. You need to become an enemy to the person who you call yourself and the person that you are trying to become big or trying to have favor with or trying to judge or trying to become big over other people. Become an enemy to that particular self, because that particular self needs to be destroyed, because number one, it's only an illusion in the first place. So in that particular aspect, you can't judge nobody, because you never know, because see, you're talking about a journey. And you might mess around and judge somebody, and this brother might have the key to your salvation. But you done judge him on some physical acts, and in that particular case, you say, okay, with the gay, well, you can pick a lot of shit. You got niggas that beat their wives. You seen this damn movie with this nigga beats. That's some real shit. You see what I'm saying? Oh, I ain't gay, but I know niggas. I was in a damn room in Louisiana. No, I was in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I was in a room, and I had about 40 or 50 women, all women. And every last woman in the room stood up and said that they was molested, but me and another sister, everybody else had been molested. Like, God damn. So my point here is, there's all kinds of pathologies. So you can't just single pathology out. Because whenever you think, oh, we're going to get rid of this person, he doing this, and he's a drunk, he a crackhead, and he's this, he gay, and all, there are going to be 150 million other pathologies. But that's the human condition, because humanity is the enemy. It was the enemy long before the white man came. You see what I'm saying? Humanity produced the damn white man. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it's a double-edged sword. We say, you know, the white man is the devil, but then we say we made him. You see, I'm just trying to say now, don't get me wrong now. We didn't say that we didn't supposed to study the enemy, because right now, he's the enemy on our behind. But then again, on the other hand, we can't get stuck there, because obviously humanity was fucked up before he even came.
He's part of the matrix too.
He part of the matrix and part of the illusion. As a matter of fact, now what I know is he was a necessary part of the damn matrix. You can't have a damn, you can't grow to greatness without an adversary.
That's right.
You can't do it. Now, and it's interesting we talk about this question, because let's get one thing straight. The Egyptians, when you study a lot of their texts, they fought against mediocrity and just being one with complacency of human life. And some of the Africans had become complacent in their everyday human life, and they was not doing anything to evolve. And as a result, they deteriorated. You see what I'm saying?
Break it down, brother.
So, in so many words, they had to pull us up out of the major continent so we can experience other parts of life. And that was a harsh deal. But then again, we are very advanced compared to when they went back to, when Chris Tucker went back there, them niggas was sitting in the damn dirt. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that that everybody's supposed to be on the same capacity, but my point here is everybody is not supposed to be rooted in the same origins, you see, in complacency. So in so many words, when you look at the bigger picture, yes, we start off in the consciousness, we got to explain all this about it. We do have an enemy, the white man, and what he did. We did this, and all of this, you know, and comparing him to the African and stuff like that. But the reality is there's always a bigger picture, and the bigger picture here is this particular path that we found ourselves in from Africa, slavery, and all of that type of stuff here was a part of the process and a part of the journey, because guess what? We know it was because we are not just Africans. We got to get out of that one continental thing. We are worldwide indigenous people. You see what I'm saying? And another thing is coming to find out now that we didn't necessarily migrate from Africa. We was all over the goddamn world. You see what I'm saying? We've always been all over the world because we're all one landmass at one time. So I'm just trying to say, in the bigger picture, when we really look at this thing here now, we got to go. The first part of the conscious movement is to tell us who we are and what happened to us. The next part now is we got to forget humanity whatsoever to save humanity. You see what I'm saying? To save humanity. So that means right now, you can't be judging. I don't want you to just use that as an example, gay people, because see, we get caught. I'm just talking about judging, period. Our people are so fucked up. You see what I'm saying? So you got to go beyond that. And simply there's one power we can look at. You say, look, you just look at the masses as children. You see what I'm saying? It's misfortunate, but then again, on the other hand, that's why we learning what we learning. You understand? So, if you understand that these people got their brains ripped out in a process of slavery, and then not only that, just living in America. Because who's to say that what white people are doing is sufficient? Sure. Because if you go to Europe, they say motherfuckers over here is fucked up. That's what white people say. They always talk about the fucked up Americans. There's a whole movie called Barcelona, came out in 1992. And it's a movie about how they talk about how fucked up America is. All through the movie. So my point here is that means that we are living in a cesspool, even on the highest level, what we call white folks. They ain't doing nothing but riding around eating in restaurants and sending emails. Really, they're not on this cutting edge or nothing. The best they gave you was a cell phone and some goddamn email. But they're not evolving none spiritually. Now don't get me wrong, they got more of them that's into this stuff esoterically than we are, but they at a doggone brick wall because they don't have the DNA. They don't have the ancestral link.
Yes, sir.
Shit is still all about melanin, goddammit.
Yes, sir. Messiah.
You see, let me explain something.
Good.
One of the mysteries here is the occult white boys been talking about David Icke about, you know, we had 12 DNA strands. We only got 2 left. And you can find what used to be the other DNA strand in the Kabbalah, the tree of life, the Sephra. Everybody seen the tree of life, the Kabbalah, the Sephra. Those are the other 12 missing DNA strands. And they say they're trying to link the other 12 missing DNA strands. Well, I broke this mystery this summer. Okay, there's 10 on the Sephiroth. And they're trying to connect the other 12 DNA strands. Guess who got the other 12 DNA strands? We got it with us. We had it with us all along. The other 12 DNA strands is this. The other 12 DNA strands is this. Let me show you how some spirit stuff goes. Because I'm going to talk about the, let me tell you how some spirit stuff goes. Show you how we can't be judging, and we got to look at things. You got to pick apart every little thing. Everything is a sign. This is the goddess Nut. And I'm talking about this tonight. It's interesting. I'm talking about this tonight. And they say, I am black to the blind, but blue to those to see. And we got a sister walking around with some blue hair. That's a sign. See, we got to look. I'm finding out now that most of the shit now, but I studied immensely over the years, but I'm finding out now it's like a trickster thing. Most of the stuff that come, it be shit that come, and you can misjudge it because you don't get the signs. You got to be. And I was looking. I said, "Damn, the blue hair." And I said, "Shit." I was gonna tell him. It says Nut. This is the god Horus. This is in the Crawley deck, the Eon, and that's Nut that's stretching over. She said, I am black to the blind, but blue to those who can see. And the sister come with the blue hair. And she's a goddess, because she's a woman. The woman with blue hair talking about Nut. You see what I'm saying? But we could judge, or we could say some things, you see what I'm saying? And we don't know. Everything is a sign. And sometimes shit, people do stuff spiritually and don't even know it. See what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm learning now, you know what I'm saying? Because even in the Afrocentric movement, because we had to become correct of the buffoons and Uncle Toms and stuff like that that was clowns, because you need to know yourself. Now I can understand that, but I say sometimes we get caught because we also, just like any other movement, it's like a religion. You start looking and start leveling those particular people at your own soul's expense. Not your soul, but your own ego expense. And you need to look at certain things that go down. Because stuff can always happen with our people. Our people are gods and don't even know it. And them niggas can do some shit to be on the God level any minute. You see what I'm saying? You got to know what time it is. Now, but this is the stuff. This is the 10 sepals, which is the 10 other DNA strands. Now, if you study any of the ancient texts, one of the ones is missing in Egyptian, so you got to go to the Sumerian text of Tiamat being overthrown, and her blood becoming the ocean, and her husband Kingu's ashes becoming made into man, and then go to the Titans, who was burnt up, and their ashes was used to make man. Well, the burnt up part of the Titan's energy is nothing but carbon and melanin, and thus is the other 10 DNA strands in the melanin. If there was 10, it was 12 DNA strands that they talk about. There was actually hundreds, but we just break this shit down on a level that we can understand. Right. And they say we only got 2, but the other ones are burnt up, but the other ones are missing. Well, where are they? The other ones is left behind. The left behind DNA strands is the melanin within our blood system itself, which is DNA. But it's not 2 DNA strands. It's hundreds. It's coming online based on thought and based on things that's going on. You see what I'm saying? That's one of the keys. That's one of the keys on that. I just want to reiterate that. You see what I'm saying? Because when we go into, because now what is happening here, the spirit that is now permeating us is forms of the god Harpocrates, which is the child, and another earlier form of Harpocrates in the pre-dynastic era is the god Pan, which later on became the prototype of the devil. Pan is also called an all in all. The word Om is another word for Pan. Now, the energy that's come back is not this masculine form. This is a degradation, or this is just a later, no, it's not a degradation. This is a ancient form of the god of nature. Ancient form of the god of nature known as Bacchus, Dionysus, Osiris, because it's called the green man. The green man is Merlin. I call it Moorish science because the Moors brought the Arthurian mythology to Europe. Oh, let me know, man, when you...
No.
Okay, you got it on this? I'm just saying, I can stop now.
Oh, you're all right.
Okay. The green man is Merlin. In Moorish mythology, Krishna is one. Krishna is one. Pan is also the green man, the god of nature, and Osiris. When you see the green aspect of that, now, green man or the god of nature. The key here is, this particular form here is a pre-dynastic form of the god Set, which predates Osiris. Remember, Set is reduced down to the devil, but he was the pre-dynastic god of all time, whose star is the star Sirius. Now, this particular entity, Pan, this and this is the same. This is the difference. This is a baby Pan called Dio-Pan, which is talking about the baby again. He is the god of nature. They put the horns on all the gods. Don't all have horns? The horns represent nature, but he's also the god of music. He's the god of music. I got a picture of the same Pan right here. It's the god of music. Here's one of Pan. Now, so the people don't get confused. This is not Greek. This is Phoenician. There's a whole book called The East Face of Helicon that just came out, I think in 1999, Oxford University. And they saying that even all that stuff you call Greek, we're talking about Phoenician. As a matter of fact, now they're saying that they don't know if there was an ancient white Greek at all. Most of those people were black people. And most of, like I say, most of those statues were made in the late 1800s. There was no white Greeks. As a matter of fact, when the sister Ginger was one of my girls, one of my significant others for about 7 years, when she went to the mounds and they started channeling, and I stayed up all night just talking to the spirits through her, and I said, why in the hell would the damn Egyptians let some fucking white folks in the mystery system, the Greeks? And the spirit say, ain't no white person ever went to no damn mystery system. And then when I went to a Greek restaurant in Detroit, they got a whole Greek town, and the guy who was serving me was your color. I said, wait a minute, if this brother is your color in 2003, how the hell do you think they look 2,000 years ago? This shit is all lies. Like Kwame Ture said, a white man don't lie some of the time, he lies all of the time. And most of that stuff, like I said, hell, even Islam wasn't even called Islam in the ancient world. It was called Mohammedism. It only became Islam in 1919. These crackers can hold a conference and make some shit the way it is. It's a lie agreed upon. See what I'm saying? And you know, we don't know how these things, so they'll hold a big conference. They say, we're going to call this, we're going to retire this. These people fuck with damn history all the time, and that's how they rule our lives.
Story.
See what I'm saying? If we got to 20 years from now, we will be knowing the father of rap to be Eminem. Did the same thing happen with Elvis? They calling him the king. See what I'm saying? Didn't Benny Goodman buy Fletcher Henderson's songbook and become the king of swing? See what I'm saying? That's how this shit goes. Now they come to find out that they had a black man that used to come to the Grand Ole Opry. You hear this? He would come to the Grand Ole Opry and he would start with his harmonica. He would start the shows and get the shit lined up spiritually before the other musicians used to come on. And the other country people used to come and say, this man taught us everything we know. And then somewhere in the late 1950s or the early 1960s, something went down and they ousted him out of the Grand Ole Opry, and none of them crackers that he helped would ever talk about him. And you would never know that this man, the pioneer of that country music, was a black man. And guess what? He just didn't pop up with this doggone thing. They had black hillbilly groups with black blues groups that was doing the same music at the same time, but they chose the blues groups to record, and they ousted the black hillbilly groups, and so therefore they died out. And as a result, you think that even that country music is something white. This shit was all copied from black people. It was all copied from black people. The black hillbilly music started out of slavery with all your violinas and stuff like that. It's all copied. So my point here is they lie all the doggone time. So this is Phoenician. This is the god Pan teaching the god Olympus. And this could very well be a new statue. The reason why we know is why is it all our ancient statues in Hemmitt is corroded? And yet they got these things, they pristine and perfect. I went to the Baltimore Museum and went to the Greek section, and I said, God damn, the shit was so refined down to the hair. I'm like, wait a minute, this ain't no ancient shit. This is some shit that was made in 1960. See what I'm saying? So we got to understand these type of things. So this Pan is called Pan Heru. This was a form of Horus and the god of music. But he's the god that's on the scene now. And who would ever think that the same thing that they have vilified as the devil in the church comes back as Jesus? It's a form of Horus. You see what I'm saying? Now what had happened was this entity, this is how we know. They will contact several individuals. So this entity, we got a statue of Pan about this tall from the Goodwill. Because what happened was, we go in there looking, because what happened was this here. See, they got a place called Alpharetta, and that's where all of your rich white folks, Bobby Brown, and rich black folks, Bobby Brown, Usher, you know, all them rich folks live out there. Whitney Houston, but they live amongst these white folks. But the white folks is into the occult. So now we found out that they have to give away so much shit every year for taxes. So the hub said, you got to get rid of them dresses they wear one time. Get rid of all kind of statues and stuff. So we go through there looking to see all the shit because these white folks. But what happened was, this Goodwill is right in the West End area behind Morehouse and Spelman and Clark and stuff. So the white folks, they sent it there. Maybe them niggas, them educated niggas might recognize some quality shit. So we go up in there because all these white folks got all this stuff, and we found a Pan statue. Black people wouldn't touch it because they're all Christians. Well, that's the devil. We got this statue and put it up in the house, and then one Halloween this sister came through and she was like, let's get down with some ritual, let's get down with some stuff. And we was in there, and so I pulled out this brother brought over some damn corn liquor. And we was sipping on that goddamn moonshine, and Pan started looking at her and staring at her and gritting and teasing her, and she got scared and shit. She's like, motherfucker, looking at me. So we knew that she had some power, so a year later, we moved in